I'm about to drop you into a brand new, reaction-driven take on HBO's Harry Potter series. No stiff recaps, just the kind of creator commentary that makes you lean in and think along with me. If you're here for the first official look and what it implies for the wizarding world on TV, you're in the right place. Let's unpack the vibe, the casting shakeups, and the bigger bets HBO is taking with this adaptation. I'll start with the hook most viewers will feel. A photo of the boy wizard wearing Gryffindor robes, a teaser date looming on the horizon, and a whole cascade of questions about how this will land in a streaming era that's already crowded with fantasy epics. Personally, I think the image is less about the character as a snapshot and more about the show's audacious premise. Translate the beloved novels into a serialized, world-building machine that can stretch moments you know by heart into sustained tension over episodes and seasons. What makes this really interesting is how HBO's pedigree, tight storytelling, production value, and a culture of big-budget prestige could recalibrate what fans expect from a Potter adaptation. In my opinion, that's the core gamble. Can you preserve the intimate magic of Rowling's world while offering the kind of bingeable, cinematic pacing HBO excels at? Let's talk about the main trio and the casting energy. The announced young actors, Dominic McLaughlin as Harry, Alistair Stout as Ron, and Arabella Stanton as Hermione, are stepping into roles that fans have spent decades reimagining in fan art, fan fiction, and intense debates. One thing that immediately stands out is the deliberate choice to ground these characters in a period-appropriate visual language from the start. Quidditch robes, banners for Gryffindor and Hufflepuff, a Weasley banner. These aren't just props. They signal a tonal direction, a grounded, almost architectural approach to Hogwarts corridors and Year One culture. What this means to me is a shift from a glossy, modern blockbuster vibe to something that reads as a long-form drama with magical flourishes, rather than a constant cascade of effects. If you take a step back and think about it, the show has to balance nostalgia with fresh interpretation, and that balance is where the real risk and the potential payoff lies. The production roster is rich with familiar faces in new roles. Francesca Gardner as showrunner, Mark Mylod as producer, and Hans Zimmer on the score. Then there are the high-profile castings for beloved professors. John Lithgow as Dumbledore, Nick Frost as Hagrid, Papa Esidu as Snape, and Janet McTeer as McGonagall. From my perspective, this indicates a serious commitment to a tonal blend, weighty, character-driven beats underpinned by a score that's likely to string together wonder with unease. What many people don't realize is how much a composer defines the emotional tempo of a fantasy series. Zimmer's involvement could tilt the series toward a mythic, operatic wavelength, which would be a fascinating counterpoint to the classroom scenes and student life politics we expect to see unfold. Let's map the season's arc. The first season is slated to adapt The Philosopher's Stone, with a target arrival year of 2027. This is a bold strategic choice. It implies a slow-burn adaptation that treats each book as a season, giving room for world-building, character arcs, and possibly deeper explorations of magical law, school culture, and the political undercurrents of the wizarding world. What this really suggests is that HBO intends to grow the Potter universe by expanding the scaffolding around the core plot. Less beat-by-beat adaptation, and more crafting a living, breathing Hogwarts and its ecosystem. A detail I find fascinating is whether the show will lean into the political subtext that the later books touch on more explicitly, or keep the focus tightly on Harry's coming-of-age journey. Either path reshapes how the franchise sits in the cultural landscape. From a business and creatorship angle, the timing around the teaser and HBO Max UK launch creates a strategic resonance. The first image dropping ahead of a teaser on March 25 aligns with streaming rollout rhythms, moments designed to maximize shareability and conversation. What this really indicates is a marketing engine built to convert nostalgia into appointment viewing. If you're building a show with a built-in fanbase, this is the moment to seed anticipation and control the narrative through carefully spaced reveals. A deeper question emerges. Will the promotional cadence emphasize secrecy and mystery, or will it lean into transparency about casting choices and tone to avert assumptions about a kid-friendly vibe? Deeper insight. The Potter universe has a long game ahead. If HBO nails this, the series could redefine what a fantasy adaptation can be. Less about mass spectacle and more about long-form character study, institutional politics, and the ethics of power in a setting that's both familiar and strange. The show could become a case study in how to translate a beloved text-heavy franchise into a serialized storytelling model that thrives on mystery, subplots, and character anatomy, without sacrificing the warmth that makes Hogwarts feel like a home away from home. A lot of viewers underestimate how much behind-the-scenes decisions, the showrunner's instincts, casting choices, and the score's emotional register shape whether a fandom expands or fragments. If HBO gets those pieces right, you'll see a Potter franchise that invites new viewers in while rewarding longtime fans with layered nods and deeper lore. Closing thought. This isn't just a faithful adaptation. It's a chance to reframe Harry Potter for a global audience that consumes stories in seasons, not pages. The real test will be balancing the game-changing energy of a fresh take with the reverence that fans bring to the original books. My bet is that this version will lean into the school-life microcosm, rivalries, friendships, moral choices, while letting the broader magic world breathe in the background. If and when the teaser drops, I'll be watching for how the visuals, the pacing, and the emotional flags line up with the vibes we've known for decades. So, what do you think will be the biggest surprise this series reveals? A darker tonal shift, deeper lore about magical governance, or a fresh interpretation of classic moments? Share your guess and drop which professor you're most curious to see reimagined on screen.